It's initializing.
Oh, it's right there. No.
Hello, guys, and
Hello.
welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to our live broadcast. We are so excited
Yes.
to be with you guys tonight. Hope that you are having a great evening, and we want you once you log in, and we would like for you to just comment and just let us know that you are here participating with us tonight. So,
Yes.
welcome to you all. We are so excited to have our wonderful guest tonight and to discuss strong marriages.
Yay.
Yes, strong marriages is such an awesome subject. As you know, this is our third week of our live broadcast. Every Thursday at 7, we go live, and we want to share information about our 7 program focus areas. And this week, we are highlighting strong
Strong
marriages.
marriages. Yes.
So, as a growing strong family, we want you to know that we want to learn together.
Yes.
Nobody has all the answers about marriage, and this is an opportunity for our community to learn together about building strong marriages. And as we're doing that, we're building legacies. Like we're learning together, and we're
Yes.
also sharing
Thank
with
you.
our family and our children,
Yes.
and we're teaching them how to have a strong marriage through the information that we're gaining.
Yes. And we're honored to have our guest tonight. Dr. Stevens is a dear friend of mine, and Crystal and I, and I'm excited. It's like full circle to me. Dr. Stevens did a lot in my spiritual walk, uh, in the marriage walk. So we are honored to have him tonight when he comes on. So we're excited about this. He's well qualified to give us advice on marriage, on coaching. Very successful, and I'm excited to be here. I'm humbled to have him come on, and he has a lot of wealth of knowledge. He has a passion for marriage and family, so he's well qualified to be here to share with us. I just want to listen and glean from here. Me and Crystal been married for 21 years, and it comes from his teachings that I used in our marriage success, and I'm excited.
Yeah, all the years you went to the marriage success seminars, you gained a lot of knowledge. And sometimes, that's what it takes is that for us to reach out and get information that we need to help us be successful in our
Yes,
marriages. And so
yes.
we are glad to have Dr. Stevens
Mm-hmm,
with us
mm-hmm,
today.
mm-hmm.
Growing Strong Families is going to provide more opportunities for you to learn by having seminars, webinars,
Yes,
as
yeah,
well as having retreats
yes.
to just help with different areas that the marriage can be strengthened in.
Mm-hmm,
So there's
yes,
so many different areas or challenges that you may have, or just if you want to enhance your marriage, enhance your communication. You may not be going through a tough time, but you just are looking for ways to improve what's there. And
yes.
so, Growing Strong Families wants to be here for you to be a beacon of light for you and your family. So, if you need any of these types of services, we would love to be here for you to provide those for you and your family.
And not only for the marriage couple, also for those who thinking about being married.
That's
And
right.
Dr. Steven has a wealth of knowledge about questions to ask before you get here,
That's right.
things you
That's
need to
right.
know. No background check. Now, just
We will definitely be doing, because there's certain things um, that people may not know to look for when you're
yes,
looking for a mate.
yes,
You just don't have an idea. So yes, we will have programs and workshops just to have ideas and things that you need to think about before you actually get married. Or
yes.
even if you are in a close relationship that you all are
Mm-hmm,
considering marriage,
mm-hmm.
we will have options for you there too. So yes, we want to strengthen you all around. If you could help the
Yeah,
whole
help.
family, okay,
Yes.
singles and married
Married people.
couples.
Right?
I want to say that you guys can put your place your comments in the comment section, and you can ask questions. And at the end, Dr. Stevens will answer your questions. tonight I went live on my personal page, and so I'm trying to share it to our Growing Strong Families page. So if you see me looking down, that is what I'm doing, trying to share the live broadcast. And it's just because there were some technical issues that I could not share it earlier. So I'm going to try to share now. Were you able to share it?
Um,
Okay, guys. Well, before, we're going to go ahead and bring up Dr. Stevens. You want to put that down and I'll
yes.
check your
Yes.
phone.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to bring up Dr. Stevens.
Welcome, Dr. Stevens. Dr. Stevens, welcome to our Growing Families. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come share with you for a little while this evening. And I also commend you on the 20 years. You know,
Thank
20 years
you.
of marriage nowadays, that's a pretty serious milestone.
Yes.
A lot of people don't last no more than a year or so. And,
That's right.
you know, have some pretty pictures to show from the wedding. And that's about it.
I did.
A lot of bills and credit card debt. So I commend you on your 20 years because nowadays that's pretty impressive.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Pretty impressive. And
Yes.
um,
Dr. Stevens, with your wealth of knowledge, and I want to say a couple of things. Dr. Stevens is he's a successful author, successful coach. He's well qualified to talk about this subject. Pastor, just give us some insights, tips for a young couple, like Crystal said, an older couple, a couple who's in the middle, and to keep a strong marriage. And we're gonna let you have the floor, and we're just gonna sit back and listen. And if you have any questions, put them in the box, and Dr. Stephen will answer those at the end of the broadcast.
great. Okay. Well, let's do this. Years ago, I developed a um, a little acronym that I thought was easy for most people to remember, and I called it the three R's. And I think the three R's are critical to people understanding how the lifespan of a love affair can be. And I say love affair, not marriage, because the first R is just doing the meet and greet romance stage. There's three R's. The first R is romance.
Mhm.
That's that period when people meet one another and start thinking, where have you been all of my life? And he's so
Hmm.
handsome and she's so beautiful. And you can't do any wrong. Everything he says is funny and she's always, her hair is always in place and he always has a fresh cut when they see one another. It's just paradise when they get together. And that period of time can carry over into the first few weeks or first few months of marriage.
Mhm.
But remember, you're still in the romance stage.
Hmm.
Then you move to the next R. The next R is the reality stage.
Mm.
When you begin to recognize the person that I married is imperfect.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have good days, sometimes they have bad days. Sometimes they have ideas about things that I disagree with. Sometimes they have irritating habits that annoy me. It's kind of like that conversation people have about the toothpaste. You're going to squeeze it from the bottom or the middle. Are you going to leave the top on? Or are you going to leave the top off? What are we going to do about this? And it becomes a big fight. They're
Mhm.
imperfect based upon your standards, however. So that is, however, a critical stage in the life of that marriage.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
at that stage, that's where a lot of people bail out.
Hmm.
That's why you have people who get divorced, but they still love one another.
Yeah.
So check this out. Love won't keep you together.
Mm.
Hmm.
It won't.
That's true.
That's right.
You gotta have skills. You
Hmm.
gotta have patience.
Hmm.
You must be equipped with knowledge.
Yes.
Hmm.
We can love a person, but not know how to navigate the relationship with them.
Mm.
You see, some people get divorced and they get jealous when their mate moves on to somebody else.
Yes.
Well, you divorced him. You say you didn't want him anymore. Why are you upset now? See, that reality stage is a stage where couples need to learn how to negotiate, move markers back and forth, and
Yeah.
understand that there are some things in my life it's not bad to negotiate and compromise on.
That's right.
You don't compromise on principles of character, no. But maybe you need to compromise on what time you go to bed at night. Maybe you need to compromise on who cooks what. Maybe we need to compromise on, do we eat dinner at home every day or do we eat out every day? Sometimes we need to compromise on dress styles
Yeah.
without being annoyed and angry with your mate because they don't dress the way you think they should dress every time, there's a family event. If he like blue jeans, casual shoes, and a baseball cap, is it really, really gonna hurt things if he don't show up fly like everybody else? Is it really gonna make a difference? And people fight over that kind of stuff. When in reality, maybe, just maybe is a reason he dresses that way. Maybe he's one of those guys who wears a suit all day. So when he gets home, he just wants some jeans and a t-shirt.
That's right.
So that negotiation period and when the reality hits is something that is critical. I remember years ago, I was in the midst of doing something my wife had recognized. I hadn't recognized it. But we had guests over. She was sitting at the dining room table having lunch with a friend of hers who had stopped by. And I overheard her say something, watch this. She says, watch this. I didn't know she was referring to me, but I heard her say it, but I wasn't part of the conversation. So I went and did what I was going to do. I went into the kitchen. I got something out of the cabinet. And when I turned and walked away, they both burst out laughing. And I said, are you laughing at me? And they said, yeah. And her friend proceeded to tell me what my wife had said. She had told her friend that, watch David, he's going to go in there and he's going to leave that cabinet open. I guarantee he's going to leave that cabinet open. And that's exactly what I did. Okay. I took what I want and walked away. Now, she could have pitched a fit and made a big deal out of it. But instead, she laughed about it. And when she laughed about it, however, it made me remember that.
Yes.
Now, man, that's been 2 decades ago. Easy. But I remembered now. I need to make sure I close the cabinet's doors. Each time I get something out, close the door. Now, some couples will fight about that till they don't want to even sleep in the same bed that night.
Yes.
You see, some couples will fight because maybe, just maybe, he left his work boots in the middle of the floor when he got home from work.
Yeah.
Now the wife is angry because he left his muddy boots sitting in the middle of the floor. But just maybe she need to consider that he's been working outside in a muddy ditch for 10 hours.
Yes.
He drags in. He's just so glad to get there. He comes out of his shoes and he leans against the wall to exhale and he walks away from the shoes.
Yes.
Not because he was trying to make a mess and irritate her. It was simply because he was so tired, his feet were hurting, and he just wanted to get out of those boots as soon as he could.
Oh, yes.
Now, she can leave those boots there, or she can pick up the boots and move them to where they should be. Why fight about it? So again, that's the reality stage.
Yes.
If you don't make it through the reality stage, you won't get to enjoy the relaxed stage.
That's right. That's right.
That's when you've been married for a while and you know the little idiosyncrasies that your spouse has, you know some of the little hang-ups and little habits, and you
Yes.
learn how to laugh at them.
Yes.
You're not make a big deal out of it. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. Here she is doing it
Yes.
again. Well, whatever.
Yes.
You know, because they have so many other attributes that make them a wonderful spouse.
Yes.
Mhm.
You're not going to throw it all away because they leave their boots in the middle of the floor. You don't throw it all away because your wife doesn't bake cakes like mama used to do it. You see, and folks get in fights about that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, so just thinking about those 3 R's, I think, will help some people begin to realize that finding the spouse that God intended
Yes.
is not a person who is already perfectly fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm about to say now may kill your live stream, or we may go viral after this. Think about it. If we look back in the story of Genesis, and I go back to Genesis because it's the beginning for
Yes.
believers. This is what we believe, the Bible. We go back to Genesis. There's a pattern. There's an example. Think about it. God made Adam.
Mhm.
But notice what God said. It's not good that he be alone.
That's right.
I'm going to make him a helper.
Yes.
It's compatible. That's fit for him. Check this out. The woman was made. The woman was made
Mm.
to keep Adam company
Yes.
and to assist him, to
Mm.
help him.
Mhm.
But just think about this. How many women out there, quote unquote, looking for a husband who's going to support them in their dreams, in their mission?
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
God is not making you a husband to fit you, sister. The wife is designed to fit him.
That's right.
correct. That's
That's
correct.
right.
You
Mhm.
see?
Mhm.
That's right.
And a lot of women want to fight about that, yet they want to wear
Mhm.
the label of being a Christian.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, if you're an atheist, if you're a non-believer, I can understand you having different ideas about this because you don't
Mhm.
believe the Bible.
That's
Right.
right.
But if
Right.
you are a Bible believer, you need to understand, sisters, that God is not out there making a man to fit you.
Yeah, all
Mhm.
right. Amen.
Mhm.
Not.
Mhm.
You need to be able to fit him.
That's right.
Now, in the process, there will be again the reality stage where there'll be negotiations. There'll be things that both of you have to adjust and compromise on.
Yes. Yes.
But some women want to always make it about him.
Mhm.
We hear stories all the time, women getting divorced because he doesn't make me happy.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Make you happy? Who promised to make you happy?
That's right.
Right.
That wasn't even part of the wedding vows
Right.
No.
to make
That
you
wasn't in there.
happy.
That's
We're
right.
happier, happier.
You see? Yeah, happier, happier. You know? So the better or worse part, if they stand there and say that, it's amazing how many people forget about the better or for worse.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Far too many women have been set up for failure when they say he doesn't make me happy.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, men can make the same mistake. Just think about
Mhm.
how many guys want to, leave their wife after she's had a couple of children for him
Mhm.
Yep.
for him, and her body doesn't look like she did when she was 23.
Mhm.
Come on, dude. Whatever her body looks like now, you probably had something to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
You see,
Yes.
so there's some give and take that does occur, but
Yeah.
we have far too many sisters who I genuinely believe many of these sisters love God.
Yes.
Mhm.
But because of wrong teaching, they're sitting around waiting for a man, what they say, who who can appreciate me, the man that I deserve,
Mm.
Mhm.
the man who
Mm.
can meet my standards.
Oh man.
Mhm.
And notice a lot of those women who talk like that are
Mhm.
single.
Yes.
They're single. Because see, God is a God of order.
Yes.
God is a God of order.
Mhm.
And God is not going to appease us and compromise
Yeah.
proper order
Yes.
just for the sake of appeasing us and making us happy because the truth makes us uncomfortable.
Mm.
Check this out.
Mhm.
Still talking about the fact that might go viral with this. I mean, I hear. Well, let me make this comment first. Many years ago, when I first started working with couples, I used to read a lot of the women's magazines, the Glamour, the Essence. I used to read a lot of that stuff because I wanted to find out what the heartbeat was in the women's community. What were they feeling? What were they thinking?
Mm.
I did a lot of that. And there's not a whole lot of men's publications that would have articles that address men's issues, and it's still that way. But
Yes.
so I used to read a lot of the magazines that were geared toward women, and I'm amazed how some people have been convinced nowadays with social media that first, a lot of the women believe my boyfriend is supposed to take care of me.
Mhm.
He's supposed to help pay my bills. He's supposed to help me pay my rent. Okay? Check this out. The flip side is a lot of men walking around, women supposed to submit. My girlfriend won't submit to me. That's why we're not together, because she won't listen to me. She won't submit to me. Guess what? Both of them are out of order.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are out of order. Again, if these are unbelievers, I can accept that. They reject biblical counsel. But
Yeah.
nowhere in the Bible does it say that a woman is supposed to submit to a man. That's
Mm.
not it. It says submit to your own husbands.
That's right.
And these guys are trying to get these women to submit to them because they're dating.
That's right.
Come on, dude. It's out of order.
Mhm.
It's out of order.
That's right. That's right, Pastor.
It's out of order. She doesn't have to submit to you. She's not obligated to do anything that you suggest.
Mhm.
Get over yourself. No more than your boyfriend should feel obligated to pay your rent.
Mhm.
Really?
Right.
Really?
Mhm.
To date you, I got to pay your rent. Hey, see, you wouldn't want to be you because it ain't that kind of party.
That's right. That's right.
You're a grown woman. You got your job. Pay your own rent.
That's
That's
right.
right.
You're a grown woman. That's what grown folks do. They take care of themselves.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Mhm.
You see? So we got to understand that we cannot be expecting great marriages that have a foundation of twisted principles.
Mhm.
Mm.
We can't expect the results no more than a man should be expecting to have strong biceps when he eats all the wrong foods and never lifts weights.
That's right.
Mhm.
Doesn't work that way.
No.
There are laws in place, there are principles in place to teach you how to build muscle, And eating
Mhm.
junk food is not the way to do it.
That's right.
You want a strong biblical marriage, you got to do it the Bible way.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
That's right.
let me get into over the next few minutes. Let me give you what I like to call 10 secrets to marriage success.
Okay.
Number one is keep communication channels open. Couples should always be able to discuss things in a respectful manner. Pouting, not talking to one another for 2 or 3 days, that's a no no. You're never going to build a strong marriage like that.
That's right.
Keep communication channels open. I've heard couples who don't speak to one another for a week
Mm-hmm.
and you're in the same house. That's not the way to build a strong biblical marriage.
That's true.
Yes.
Let your spouse be your friend is number two.
Mm.
With good friends, guess what? We drop our guard.
Yes.
But check this out. With good friends, we stick together when tough time comes.
Yeah.
Everybody got a friend or partner who they know will come if they know things went south in their life.
Yeah.
They know it. It's not a big explanation needed. It's just like, hey, man, something happened. I'm headed over to so-and-so house.
That's right.
I don't know what happened,
That's right.
but I'm headed over there. And when they get there, a crowd may be around. And family know how close they are. Oh, yeah, let him in.
That's right.
Let her in.
That's right.
So our spouse should be the friend that we can confide in, drop a guard with.
Hmm.
So let your spouse be your friend.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, number three is love your mate. Love your spouse. If you're already friends, loving your spouse shouldn't be a problem.
That's right.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Mhm.
There's certain things that you're going to do because you love them.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things you're going to do simply because you love them.
Yes.
There's certain things you're not going to do because you love them.
Mhm.
There's a lesson I shared with my son years ago about borrowing your friend's lawnmower. If my lawnmower broke and I got my partner live next door and said, "Yeah, man, my lawnmower broke. Can I use yours?" Cool. It's in the garage. I'll go get it, clean my yard up, get everything, looking good. And right before I take it back, the blade breaks. Now, what kind of friend would I be if I push it back in his garage when I know I broke the blade when I was cutting my grass? So you don't do your friends like that.
No.
That's my partner. That's my friend. I love him like a brother. I wouldn't leave him jammed up like that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I might hit him and say, "Hey man, I don't know what happened. That blade broke." Me gonna throw it on the truck. I'm gonna take it up here, get it fixed for you, of course. But I just want you to know, man, you might wait a couple of days to cut your own grass because I didn't get your lawnmower fixed.
That's right.
As opposed to me putting it in his garage and him getting ready to cut his grass at 6:30 Saturday morning, and he goes out there and his lawnmower doesn't work. I can't leave him like that
That's right.
because I love him. That's my brother. I wouldn't put him in that predicament.
That's right.
With your wife, your husband, there are some things you just will not do.
That's right.
Just some things you won't do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
1 Corinthians 13 chapter, you start reading through there, you start thinking, okay, that's how love works. Yeah, that's how love works.
That's right.
Number 4, respect your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Respect their ideas, their thoughts, honor them. Don't try to make it seem like they're less than you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, you're out of order. Again, guys, your wife was given to help you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Your
That's
wife
right.
sees stuff you don't see.
That's
Yes.
Don't get on some ego trip. Well, I'm the man around here. You just need to shut up and sit down. You're making a big mistake.
right. Mm-hmm.
She sees things you don't see.
That's right.
A lot of the women who walk around nowadays bragging about, I'm an independent woman, I don't need anybody. They're lying to themselves.
That's right.
Mhm.
They are lying to themselves.
Mhm.
I remember a woman called me one day. She was crying on the phone. She said, well, Dr. Stevens, I don't like this. I don't like that. And it boiled down to she was a career woman,
Mm.
making good money, well trained,
Mhm.
you know, and, she was making enough money to take care of herself and then some. But Greg, guess what?
Oh.
Man, when that water pipe busted in her house, she didn't know what to do.
No, no.
Water everywhere,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh
So
boy.
it's like, okay, if if
Hmm.
that man of God was at the house
Hmm.
and knew what he was doing, he could have just gone out there and turned the water off out there in the backyard or the front yard.
Front, yeah, that's correct. That's
Just
right.
turn it off. Then start looking for how to patch it.
That's
But she
right.
was in a panic. So we need to honor each other. We need to respect one another and
Yes.
value the contributions of the other party.
That's
Yes.
true.
We
Hmm.
shouldn't try to dominate one another. But
Mhm.
again, we have to understand God is still a God of order.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, I know there's some, I've heard, women have pushed back on me when I talk about, male leadership. And they said, well, the Bible says submitting to one another. That's not what it was referring to. It was talking about brothers and sisters in the church submitting to one another,
That's right.
offering each other godly counsel.
Yes.
Mhm.
But specifically when the scriptures start talking about, that wives should submit to their own husbands, notice it says specifically, wives,
Mhm.
submit to your own husband.
That's right. That's right.
And when they said, well, he need to be submitting to God. Yeah, but you don't call the shots on that because a lot of times women will make the mistake of putting their framework on what a godly man is.
Ah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Their framework on it.
Yep.
And even as one popular preacher said, he said, I'm going to scream if another woman tell me how to be a man. He said, I'm going to scream. If you were a real man, you would. How do you know what a real man
That's
is?
right.
You know, so I think we often see it in school systems. When you go way back, you begin to realize how in some school systems, boys are expected to be nice, quiet, and compliant. That's not how boys operate. They're not built that way.
No.
Boys have energy. They have testosterone.
Yes.
Mhm.
They want to jump, run, play rough, and call it fun.
Yes.
That's how they were made.
That's right.
So adults, husbands and wives got to understand, okay, this is her contribution to this relationship. And
Yes.
this is his contribution to the relationship.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And once we start valuing the contributions, I believe there'll be a greater level of respect in marriage.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Number 5, don't keep a record of past mistakes. You will make mistakes and so will your spouse. Both of you will make mistakes, so why are you keeping a record? Are you planning to use this as leverage for future occurrences or what?
Mm.
Why are you keeping records? Do you want him or her to keep records on everything that you failed to do properly?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Don't keep records of past mistakes.
Speak
Forgive
up.
and move forward.
Yes.
Yes.
Because trust me, you living in a house with somebody, they're going to see your mistakes. They're going to observe your vulnerabilities. They're going to see the things that are considered shortcomings.
Mm.
So if you're going to criticize them and hold that against them, that's not the way to have a healthy, strong relationship.
That's right.
Let it go. Forgive past mistakes and move forward. Don't bring it up again if you've resolved it today. Don't bring that up the next time you have a conflict. Don't do that. Don't do it.
That's right.
Right.
Let it go. Because one of the things that happens when you
Let
do
it
that,
go.
you will cause that person to be reluctant to be vulnerable to you next time.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, you telling somebody a secret and then you're hearing about your secret 2 days later from somebody else.
Ooh.
It's like, wow, I know where it came from because I know in my life I never told anybody that. I never told anyone else that. So I know where it came from. You see? So forgive and move forward.
Mhm.
Hey, amen.
Don't keep a record of past mistakes. Number 6, cultivate a good sex life with your spouse. Church folks don't want to talk about sex, but there are little babies running all over all these churches.
Uh-huh.
So y'all ought to quit it. Y'all ought to quit it. You know, blessed is the man who has his quiver full.
That's right.
Right.
you know, so I think some couples make a mistake of letting sex becoming mundane and boring, predictable. That's why I encourage couples to read the Song of Solomon
Mhm.
in different versions of the Bible, and they begin to see how romance is actually carried out between loving couples.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cultivate a good sex life.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, control your tongue. Compliment and affirm your spouse whenever possible. When they do something well, compliment them on it. When they dress a certain way and that's the outfit you like or that's the suit you like, say something about it. The flip side of that is don't use your tongue to cut your spouse,
Yes.
to say things that are so hardcore and cruel that it causes them to hurt, become ashamed, become distrusting
Mm.
because you said something. But also,
Mhm.
the men that I've worked with over the years, a lot of men complain that their wives say stuff that embarrass them in public
Mm.
Mhm.
around kinfolks, making jokes about him, making
Mm.
jokes about some of the things that she knows about him that should be private and kept private.
Yes.
Saying stuff like, no, he can't do that. He too dumb to do that. Or, no, no, I knew he didn't do that because he ain't smart enough to do that.
Mhm.
That's not wise.
Mhm.
Control your tongue. Don't use your tongue as a weapon against your spouse.
That's right.
Right.
You
That's right.
know,
Not
Amen.
love.
yeah,
No.
don't do it. When they told us growing up, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt, was a lie.
Yes.
It was a lie. There's death and there's life in the power of your tongue.
Amen. Yes.
So don't let your tongue destroy your relationship. Control your tongue.
Mm.
Mhm.
I love this one. Stay out of debt. That's number 8. Some couples marriages fall apart because they become stressed out about debt that they've accumulated.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And often that debt is associated with materialistic things that they could have done without, that
Mm-hmm.
they could have waited to purchase, they didn't need. But at the time, it was popular.
Mhm.
Other people were doing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's wise.
Mhm.
Often, social media will have people thinking that everybody's going on a vacation every other weekend. I'm not talking about they living their best life. But I
Yeah.
personally know of couples. I know of couples who have gone on vacation and
Mm.
come back and found an eviction notice on the
Mhm.
apartment.
Mhm.
Why would you go on vacation and you hadn't paid the rent? Why?
Mhm.
That's like
That's good for
you know
today's time, for sure.
Yeah.
that's elementary. You pay your rent.
Yes.
Right.
You spend enough money for 3 nights in Atlanta to cover your rent for the
Mm,
whole 30 days. But you opted for 3 days in Atlanta and a nightlife
Hmm.
instead of
mm.
paying the rent.
Hmm.
You'll get in debt swiping your credit card to buy expensive purchases like handbags. A lot of women like bags and purses, what you call purses and stuff like that. And I've heard somebody told me the other day there's one that they know somebody bought cost $30,000. What kind of
Bag.
foolishness is that?
Hmm.
Ooh.
I'm talking about regular working people,
Wow.
Hmm.
you know, and they were
Wow.
probably deceived into buying it because they saw an entertainer who had one, not knowing that the entertainer was probably just promoting that product,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
hadn't
Hmm.
bought it. If it was
No.
given
Hmm.
to them, it may have been given to them by the manufacturer, and they're just walking around as a walking advertisement.
Yes.
And you go get in debt trying to buy a $30,000 purse.
Mm.
Hmm.
I heard it's pretty common for $2,500 though. Some people to buy a purse for 2,500. Now, for the sake of balance, I know there's some men, they'll drop $5,000 for rims and tires on their car.
Oh yes.
I'm like, dude, dude, you spent $5,000 on rims and tires. And a lot of them spend a whole lot more than that
Hmm.
Hmm.
swiping a credit card. Now that creates pressure, debt pressure,
Yes.
you know. So stay out of debt if you want to keep your marriage strong.
Hmm.
Number 9, always make time for your spouse. Don't be too busy to spend time with your spouse. Don't try to work all the overtime. I understand you may want to work overtime to make a little extra money, pay a bill off, or to plan for a vacation. I get that. But don't make it the norm where you're working 12 and 14-hour days and leaving that job and going somewhere else. Your
Hmm.
Hmm.
spouse will feel like they're not important anymore.
Hmm.
You're too busy for your spouse. If
Yeah.
you have children, your spouse is feeling like they have been abandoned. They had to handle
Hmm.
the children by themselves. They're all alone.
Hmm.
Make time for your spouse.
That's right.
I
Hmm.
remember being in the barbershop and just hear these guys about, you know, like any other, black barbershop. You hear all kind of stories, and
Yes.
some are just totally humorous. Half of the time, it's a lie, but it's funny. You know, you know. But a guy told me a story, and he said he found out they were talking about him. He said that he found out that there was another dude living at his house, and he didn't even know it. But
Wow.
this guy admitted to himself he worked 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job.
Mm.
He had 2 full-time jobs and a
Mm.
part-time job.
Mm.
And the other guy was living there most of the time because he was gone all the time himself. Yeah.
I was like, woo.
He was gone too much.
Hmm.
He was gone too much.
No,
Hmm.
no.
You see? So always make time for your spouse. Make
Yes.
time for them. And the disappointment, especially when you start making promises, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then you disappoint them again, you disappoint them another time. And again, the devil is still busy.
Yes.
You don't want your spouse entertaining thoughts of infidelity and,
Mhm.
spending time places they don't need to be going.
Yes.
So always make time for your spouse to keep your marriage strong. And the last one is a simple one, but very powerful one. Always pray. Because some things it's just best to pray about before
Yes.
saying anything about it.
Hmm.
sometimes as you're in prayer, God will reveal you
Yes.
to yourself. He'll let you know that you need to fix something in you while you're
Mhm.
going to God complaining about your spouse.
Yes.
Other times you go and pray about it. God can give you an answer to how to resolve the situation while you're worried about it. And you and your spouse can come together with a resolution that's already God ordained. I
Mhm.
even know of cases where people have gotten the same answer at different times when they prayed,
Yes.
but it was such a drastic answer until both of them were afraid to say it. Until one of them blurted it out, and of course they looked at each other, bug-eyed, like, "Wow, God told you that too?" Yeah. Cause see, I think I think some people pray and really don't expect answers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Many years ago, I learned to expect God to answer my prayer.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I'm I'm not big on people acting surprised that God answered a prayer.
Mhm.
So they
Mhm.
got to run around, turn flips, and call everybody on the phone, tell 'em what God did, and stand up in church and testify, like they're shocked and surprised that God did it.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
When I prayed, I believe God's coming through for me.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so I sometimes I get a prayer answered, and what I would like to do is give God a high five. Say, "You did it again."
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Thank you. You did it again.
That's
I'm
That's
right.
not
right.
surprised.
Right.
But I just want to say thank you for coming through for a brother again.
That's right.
I don't have to run around the church and tell everybody God really answered the prayer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like I'm shocked and surprised.
that's right.
Mhm.
So if couples will pray together and at different times, I'm not a big one on forcing, the issue about people need to pray together. There'll be times when you need to come together because the scripture talks about, when you come together in prayer and, on one accord, we're
Yes.
not talking about just standing there holding hands and praying, you know, because there's no distance in prayer. You can pray on one side of town, I can pray on another side of town. If we're praying about the same thing, we're still praying a prayer of agreement,
That's right.
Mhm.
Amen.
So that's my standard list of 10 secrets.
Yes.
Mhm.
People who may be interested in, learn a little bit more about my ideas and the biblical principles that I share. They can visit my website at marriagesuccess.com, marriagesuccesscoach.com rather, and pick up one of my books that, refer to a lot of the stuff that I believe in.
Yes.
I think I've written 9 or 10 books on the subject,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some things I believe that are what I would consider basic and elementary. However, because people are not applying basic principles can still be life changing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
They can still be life changing because you didn't know it. Other people may have known it, but you
Mhm.
didn't know
Mm-hmm.
it. And
That's
that
Mhm.
right.
might be the message that you need to
Yes.
get you through a bad situation.
Yes.
So,
Hey,
got any
hey,
questions for me?
hey, Pastor, I just enjoyed those tips. I'm writing them down. That was good. I said, whoever got ears to hear, let them
Uh,
hear. That was
yeah,
great. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
enjoyed it, and I wrote down all of
I
the
wrote
tips.
all the tips.
Good.
We are live, but it doesn't seem like there's no comments because there's no one connected. So we'll have to see what happened to the live, but we are going to post it. But
Yes.
I'm gonna
Okay.
ask a couple questions for those that may have questions,
Sure
and we
thing.
may still have some questions, and they can get in contact with you by your website, like you
Yes.
stated.
Yes.
Yes.
But I'm gonna ask a question. So I want to go back to expectations. What should be the biblical expectations of a husband and a wife? Since we talked about in the beginning that it's not the expectation may not be to be happy. What is the what should we be expecting? What's the best expectation to go into your marriage with when you're looking to build a strong marriage?
Well, I think expectations, I think they're fluid because sometimes social popularity can cause people to move the goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
And so expectations may be that my husband buys me a car. 5
Mm-hmm.
years later, expectations might be that my husband needs to buy me a 7 Series BMW.
Mm-hmm.
And if he was a real man, he'll figure out a way how to get it for me. You see,
Yeah.
so I prefer to focus on needs. And when I say needs, it's based upon some research I did years ago. And in my book, Master Keys to Marriage Success, in chapter 1, I outlined key things your husband needs. And in chapter 2, key things your wife needs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in lesson 1, I have key things your husband needs. And I say these needs because, generally speaking, these things can help build your husband up and keep him locked in. Number 1 is appreciate his hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Sometimes men feel like they're being taken for granted. Sometimes men feel like the things that they go through to keep a job that they hate, to keep a job that's very stressful, to keep a job that keeps them up all night, it's not appreciated. And if the wife does not make an effort
Mm.
to say how much she appreciates it, he can sometimes feel like I'm doing all of this and nobody appreciates it because I don't have to do it. And you know what the enemy will tell the brother? I know a lot of guys out there who wouldn't do none of this.
Yeah.
I know I'm a good man, but ain't nobody reminding me that I'm a good man and they appreciate me being a good man.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Now, on the women's side, key things your wife needs: romance and affection. Most women want to be romanced. They want the affection. They want to they want to cuddle. They want to be hugged and they want to be chased. They like that kind of thing. Now, as men, sometimes we get so focused on making a living, trying to provide and, trying to make sure the house is in good place and the bills are paid, till we don't feel like doing that because we're tired, because we're working 10 and 12 hours, because we're working the night shift. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't really feel like that.
Mhm.
But it's important to make an effort. Now, I'm not a big believer in date night, and that's just me, because I think it can create some expectations. That word is expectations. I
Mm-hmm.
think it can create some expectations that can really send a marriage in the hole because if the date night is Wednesday and we go out every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, what happens if something happens at work and they can't get off in time? What happens if one of them is ill and they can't do it? What happens if mom and or dad or somebody has a medical crisis and your spouse need to run across town?
Yeah.
Now your spouse is at home feeling like everything took precedence over me. This was supposed to be our time. But life happens.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Life happens. And if the spouse is immature, they want things to always revolve about what's important to them.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I'm not a big one on date nights, but I am big on husbands and wives finding a way to spend
Mhm.
time together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sometimes it may be driving to the store together
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
and
do that a
stopping, yeah, and stopping to get a burger or stopping at a restaurant to eat while we are out. when we said we were just going to go up to Walmart or just go up to the mall to pick up something, and y'all decided to stay out another hour because you saw the restaurant and when nobody there and you like to eat there. Just stop and enjoy that moment together.
That's right.
You see, so now some people believe strongly in date night. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think it can. I think a rigid pattern that we must adhere to in our marriage can sometimes put us in danger zone.
Mhm.
So, second thing that a husband needs. I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go to the next one. Y'all had to figure out in my book which one I just skipped. But a man needs an attractive wife. Years ago, I wrote an article that got me stopped on the street. In that article, I made the comment, and now they said things going viral. This column went in some cities around the country. After I said in that newspaper column that wives need to stop wearing these bonnets on their head and these big old house coats and dusters around the house with their husbands and getting dressed up, combing their hair, putting on their makeup, putting on their favorite outfit, and then hit the streets. But her husband got to see that duster and bonnet at home every day. Everybody see the better version of her besides him. So she's getting dressed up to show herself to the public, but what she shows him is not that same woman. Many men see their wives getting ready to go, and they're turned on by her because she's dressed up, looking good, smelling good. It's kind of like, wow, you look good. And at that point, he may reach for her and get rejected because I don't want you to mess up my hair. You're going to make me late. I don't have time for that now. But you're looking attractive to him. And a man wants an attractive wife.
That's right.
If any other man saw his wife out in public later on today, they would see his attractive wife. But when she gets home, she comes out of her shoes. She starts taking off that outfit she wore to work today. She puts on her some clothes that she's comfortable in. And within 15 minutes, he sees a totally different woman than the public saw. And that newspaper article went wherever. I got stopped on the street and they were like, "Are you the guy who wrote that?"
Well, the new thing now is they're bringing out videos with the women with the moo dresses and saying that our grandmothers got a lot of attention from their men, and they had a lot of babies in that moo dress.
Yeah. I understand the joke.
Oh, it's a joke.
Oh yeah, I understand the joke because the men are the ones laughing. Because it really doesn't work. Because see, what they're not telling, the other part of the story is, back then, talking about grandmamas got this, a lot of the grandmamas were married to men who had second families.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys had other women in their lives who presented themselves more attractively. And some women find that really, really tough to swallow because, as they say, how can he be with her? She don't even look good. She don't look good to you because that's your competition. But she presented herself in a way to that man that met a genuine or perceived need that he had. And if he liked looking at a woman who was well groomed,
Yeah.
who painted her nails, who painted her toenails, who always kept her hair together, who wore clothes that fit her well without being, seductive, but she was classy. And if that's what he liked,
Mhm.
and his wife was not presenting that to him, she was only presenting the moo and the bonnet,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
kind of like, I would say this, another viral moment. A lot of women make the mistake of asking women what men want.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm. You said that.
Women don't know what men want.
There you go.
Ask a man.
Mhm.
I've been telling women for years, I've been asking them, have you talked to your father? Have you talked with your brother? Have you
Mhm.
talked with your cousin? Other
Mhm.
males in your family, and ask this question because you may be surprised at the response they offer you.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
Women
true.
see things from a different perspective. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't because that's how they're created.
That's right.
Mhm.
But sometimes women make the mistake of measuring how a man should view them through the
Mm.
lens of a woman.
Mm.
Men see things differently.
That's right.
All of us have seen men who go to church and sit there cool as the other side of the pillow. And their wife can be jumping and running and testifying and crying. But he sit there cool, observing, don't clap, don't do nothing. He just sits there. Some women fail to realize that sometimes men are doing that because they are observing in order to protect and insulate his loved ones from potential threats. And nowadays, we all know, we've heard stories about churches being invaded by criminals and robbing the place and murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't love God because he doesn't jump and shout like you. He could have a walk with God that is solid. But unfortunately, some women will expect a man who loves God the way they do to respond as emotionally as they would.
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
wired that way.
No,
Mhm.
that's
We're
right.
not wired that way. So, but a man likes an attractive wife.
Mhm.
I'm going to give you one more, and this is for the women. Women like their husbands to spend money on them. Doesn't have to be big money, but he
Mm-hmm.
bought me something. It may be something that cost $10, but it was so thoughtful and it was so cute. He bought it and he brought it home. It was a candy bar, but it was my favorite candy bar.
Mhm.
Women like that.
Yeah.
And we have to be, as men, we have to be conscious of dwelling with our wives according to knowledge.
Mhm.
Study them.
Yeah.
Understand it. What is the favorite ice cream? Buy some ice cream sometime
Yeah.
and let her know, hey, I got something for you in this sack. I ain't gonna tell you what it is, but here, girl. And she opened the bag and wow, her favorite ice cream. It
Mm-hmm.
cost you $6, but you just made her night.
Mhm.
It was thoughtful. You spent some money on her.
Yes.
So that's just four things, two from each category. Start talking about expectations. I think
Mhm.
husbands and wives need things. And to get more specific, I think couples need to keep communication channels open and talk about what they need.
Yes.
Say
Mhm.
it. Don't just have the idea that some folks have had over the years. Well, he's a man, he should know. How?
Mhm.
I'm not the first woman he ever been with, but that other woman wasn't you.
Mhm.
So you need to let him know what you like, what you expect, what you anticipate.
That's
And
right.
the cool
Mhm.
part about it is, I think there would be less disappointment if couples had those kind of conversations before they said I do. Some
Yes.
Mhm.
couples, some couples, they don't talk. They just focus on the wedding day. They don't talk.
Mhm.
That's right.
You need to talk about the money. You need to talk about kids. Are we going to have them or not? We're going to talk about who's going to pay the bills, where we're going to live. It's a lot of stuff you need to talk about.
That's right.
And
Mhm.
some people get so focused and caught up with, wedding plans until they
Mhm.
fail to think about the stuff that's critically important to the marriage after the wedding day.
That's right.
So
Mhm.
remember, we started off with the three R's:
Mm-hmm.
romance,
Mhm.
reality, and relax.
That's right.
When you get to the relaxed stage, you have weathered the storm, and a lot of stuff really doesn't matter anymore
That's right.
Yes.
because you can appreciate all those wonderful attributes that your spouse bring.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
happy and you're well pleased.
Mhm.
Wives feel secure, because they know that he's going to do this or he's going to do that. And, he's not going to talk about it much, but he's figuring it out and he's going to
Uh-huh.
come up with a solution. And, over the years.
Yes.
And my closing comment will be this: a lot of men struggle with this idea of their wives submitting to them because they have failed to show her the level of consistency that will cause her to trust him to
Mm-hmm.
handle things.
Yeah.
He's been inconsistent. He's dropped the ball many times. So when he comes up with an idea or he suggests that we do this or that, she references all of the times that he dropped the ball. So
Mhm.
her security, her trust is shaken. So
Yes.
submitting to his leadership is a struggle for her because he has not been consistent.
That's right.
And but the man who has been consistent, she can trust that he's going to do what he say he can do. And if he doesn't, something went sideways, and I know this is totally out of character for him. So I need to check on my man because no, this is out of character for him. For him to
Mhm.
drop the ball on this kind of thing, because she trusts him and she'll submit to his leadership. She may not even understand it all. Because see, some men, I think they go too far in trying to accommodate their wives. When they get to that point, they've dropped the ball so much. Now they're trying to do everything to make her happy when still he has to maintain integrity of the relationship. Because sometimes when the man is trying to lead his household, cover, protect, provide, trying to make sure things are in order, sometimes he's going to have to say no.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And he got to be willing to take the heat
That's right.
when he says no. Because if asked, he can give justification why he said no.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And a good wife will say, you got a point.
Mhm.
Maybe not now. 6 weeks from now, maybe. 2 years from now, maybe so. But he made a valid point, and he did not bend. And secretly in her heart, she's like, yeah, he's a pretty good fella. Yeah, he was right. And who knows how many times that same wife will brag to other women who talk about some of the problems that they have that she don't have to deal with. She doesn't have to deal
Mhm.
with that because her man, he gonna handle whatever needs to be handled, and he's been doing it consistently,
That's right.
year
Mhm.
after year. And if he drops the ball, he'll say, "Hey," in the words of that great man, Dr. Edwin Lewis Cole, he said, "When a faithful man fails, he's faithful to repent and start over."
Yes.
That's right.
Mhm.
Amen.
That's good.
Good.
Now, Pastor, if I can, I want to pull on you one more time. One
All
more
right,
question.
sister, what you
Is it
got?
okay? Okay. I want to go back to the reality phase and using some of the needs that you presented to us. And you said that's one of the most challenging phase, and
Yeah,
that's phase that people call it quits.
yeah,
And they're in reality,
yeah,
of that other person. And some of the, I guess, some of those needs are not being met.
Yeah.
that is causing unhappiness in the relationship. What do you say to that couple that may be experiencing that in that reality phase? Their needs are not being met and it's causing unhappiness. And
Okay.
they want to give up because that's the times where you've said, that they have given up in the past.
Well, I think transparency is really critical at that point because it's kind of like remember what I said about submitting to one another.
Mhm.
The believers in the body that was referring to them. But then there's a time in marriage, I think, that couples have to set aside. Okay, yeah, we're married, but then again, we're brothers and sisters in Christ. And here
Yes.
we are trying to make this union work. I need to be honest enough when my spouse says, you dropped the ball in this area. I need to be honest and say, baby, you're right. I
Mhm.
didn't do my best, or I fell short there.
Yes.
As long as the expectations are not unrealistic, I think couples who really want their marriage to work, they can make the adjustments. But we cannot posture ourselves as a judge and jury who's going to penalize our spouse when they fell short.
Mhm.
Because again, you have to forgive and move forward.
Hmm.
You know, the happy part, happy, happy is something that I don't focus on because I
Mhm.
believe the spiritual force of joy is much more important.
Yes.
Mhm.
Fruit of
Hmm.
the spirit is joy.
Yeah.
That comes from the inside and that peace with God and that fellowship with the Father versus happy. Happy is so tentative. It's based on exterior circumstances. People
Yes.
can be happy at 9 o'clock and unhappy at 11 o'clock.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
You
Pastor.
see,
Or within the same minute.
The
yeah,
same.
it's so subjective. It's like what makes one person happy doesn't make the other person happy. So I think happy is often, not always, but I think often is a matter of perspective. She's unhappy because she didn't get the 7 Series BMW that cost 89,000, but he bought her the 5 Series that cost 55,000.
She
You
unhappy.
see, it's 55,000, $60,000, and she's unhappy.
Mhm.
Years ago, I remember a situation where a man bought his wife a brand new Mercedes, and she kept it 10 days and took it back because it was the wrong color. She was unhappy. This man just spent cash money to buy you a Mercedes as a gift. And it wasn't an entry level Mercedes. It was a real one.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the big ones. But it was the wrong color. And she complained and complained until he finally decided, okay, you can go trade it in because it was the wrong color. When his gift to her was a brand new car that he thought that she would like, but it made her unhappy.
Mhm.
So I think happy is really subjective. And during that
Mm.
reality stage, I think there's some self-assessing that needs to take place too. Am
Yes.
I being demanding? Am I being unrealistic? Can he or she really do this that I'm
Yes.
expecting from them? Can they
Hmm.
afford this? Can they make this happen? Yes or no? Because I think that desire to be happy is kind of like the drug addict chasing that first high.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You see, you can never get that virgin high again.
No.
Never, never. Your body was clean. Your body was clean. So when you got high that first time, you got a jolt that you never felt before. But now that you've been getting high for a while, you'll never get that same kind of high.
That's right.
So happy is really, really subjective. But I do think in that reality stage, couples have to communicate a whole lot and be transparent. This
Yes.
is what
Mhm.
I dislike. On this area, I wish you would improve in. I wish
Um,
you would affirm me more often.
yes.
Mhm.
I wish you would hug me more often. You
Hmm.
know, I wish you would make me feel special when we're around relatives and friends and compliment me sometime. Tell me I
Hmm.
look great in the outfit. You know, I bought the outfit hoping you would like it, and you said nothing about it.
Uh-huh.
You see, and
Mhm.
Right.
it's one of those things where a woman can pout simply because he didn't compliment her and notice the new outfit that she just spent big money on, thought he would like it, and he didn't say anything about it. Now
Mhm.
she's unhappy.
Mhm.
She's unhappy. But she got wearing a brand new outfit, but she's unhappy
Mhm.
because he did not affirm her, which is something that is simple he could have done, and he may have thought it, but he just didn't verbalize it.
Mhm.
So I think transparency is critical. You know, when you run across that part where people are feeling unhappy, and then the self-assessment is that a man and a woman, they have to be willing to say, "Okay, I didn't know. I
So,
didn't know
yeah.
that was important.
Yes. Yes.
Let
Mhm.
me take steps to try to fix it. I really didn't think that was a big deal." You know,
Yes.
it's kind of like sex. A lot of time women just look at sex as just, I'll check that box later. I'll check that box later. But he saw you when you walked in and you were looking great. And you were at home by yourself together with your husband, and you felt I was just too tired and I didn't want to do nothing then. Well, is that the pattern? Is that how you normally do it? Because she may interpret that as rejection
Mhm.
when the woman thought it was no big deal. Or she could have even been arrogant enough to say, well, he ought to just be glad that I give him sex.
Yeah.
You see, so those kind of things got to be talked about because it's important to your spouse.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, maybe she just want to, cuddle. She doesn't want to have sex. She needs to say that. So that
Mhm.
period of time when people are quote unquote unhappy, sometimes it's simply because folks not talking and they expect the other person to read their mind. We
That's
don't we
true.
don't read people's minds. It's called
Right.
witchcraft.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
okay,
got
Miss Crystal, would you? Okay, you got one, Greg?
no, I don't. I just like the with the reality part, transparent, being transparent with each
Yeah,
other. I think it's just being real with each other, and that'll help out a lot of couples.
yeah, yeah.
Being
Mhm.
transparent.
You know, you're sitting there pouting because you didn't get what you expected, but you never told your spouse that was
Right.
really important to you.
That's right.
You know, and you even see that with what holiday dinners, newlyweds. In his household, his mom prepared certain dishes. He got married, and his wife decided she was going to prepare the holiday dinner, and two of the dishes were missing that mom used to do. Now he like wondering what happened to it, but he never told his wife what he expected. Or
Mhm.
he sit there year two, he got a whole year to let her know what he missed. He never said anything about it.
That's
But
right.
Uh-huh.
he'll leave there and go to his mom's house and eat it and or bring a little bit back, and his wife never knew
Mhm.
that he liked XYZ. But
That's
in
right.
her household, that wasn't a staple of the meal.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
therefore, when she learned how to prepare the meal, she did it the way her mama taught her.
That's right.
Being transparent is critically important to get through that reality stage because it's tough. But people have to forgive when they're in that reality stage too, because a lot of
Mhm.
times people do stuff and they don't know they did it wrong.
That's right.
Right.
They
Mhm.
don't know that that was offensive. They don't know that that was such a big deal to you.
That's right.
Mhm.
So you got to talk about it. Got
That's
to
right.
talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
So, Pastor, we definitely enjoyed. I enjoyed this. Hey, I enjoyed the seminar. I enjoyed it. We so thankful that you came
it.
on and share with us. I mean, these 10 keys and the 3 R's are. I mean, that's something to start. If you starting to work on your marriage, that is a place to start.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good,
Also
good.
helpful information for people that are wanting to be in a long-term relationship
Hmm.
and desiring to be married. So thank you so
So much.
much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us, taking
Yes.
the time out of your schedule. We appreciate it. And I am sure we're going to have to
Have
bring you
you
back,
back? Yes, correct.
especially since people weren't able to chime in because I know that our section would have been buzzing if they were connected. So we'll figure out this part, but we're going to post this right after We're going to post the recording so
Yes.
people will
Okay.
be able to look at it and be able to give us your web page again so people can follow up with you.
Sure, sure. They can reach me at marriagesuccesscoach.com.
All right.
Marriagesuccesscoach.com. And if they go to Amazon, they can order my books, and they can also order my books directly from that website.
All right.
Okay.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
great.
Amen.
Thanks again. You have
Thank you,
any
Pastor.
closing?
Man,
remarks?
I enjoyed it, Pastor Dr. Stevens. And
I guess you can go ahead and tell them that Pastor Dr. Stevens pastored you.
yes,
Just
Dr. Stephen pastored me, also brought me into the ministry, and he's my spiritual father coming into the ministry, and I am so grateful and thankful that he saw something in me to give me that chance, and God has honored that over the years. So I'm grateful to you, Pastor. Thank you.
Sure thing, sure thing. No problem, no problem. Glad to be a part of your life.
Yes, sir.
yes. Well, all right, we're going to close our session, and we hope that you guys will join us next week. We're going to highlight our program focus area, leadership in the home.
Yes.
So please join us next week, and we will see you then.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thanks.